I greet you in Jesus' precious name. It is Monday morning. It's the 18th of December, 2023. And this is your friend, Angus Buchan, with a thought for the day. We start off in the book of Job. Some say the oldest book in the Bible. Job chapter 22 and verse 29. He will save the humble person. And then we go to the New Testament, to the first book of Peter, chapter 5 and verse 5. God resists the proud, but gives grace to the humble. Just say sorry. It's not always easy, is it? Especially when it's not your fault. But you say sorry because you've offended somebody. Be humble. Always say sorry. It diffuses a potential explosion. Now, to be humble does not mean that you have to be weak. Not at all. In fact, humility is actually controlled strength. That's what it is. I think one of the most powerful men in the Old Testament was Moses himself. What kind of a man was Moses? Can you imagine meeting him in heaven? I'm looking forward to meeting Moses in heaven. You talk about a man's man. You talk about a courageous man. You talk about a leader. Some say the greatest leader that ever lived next to Jesus. Took over 1 million people through a desert for 40 years and took all kinds of abuse from them, and yet he never buckled once. If we look at Numbers chapter 12 and verse 3, the Bible says, now the man Moses was very humble, more than all men who were on the face of the earth. Now, I want to tell you there was nothing soft about Moses. The softest part of Moses was his teeth, as they say. Can you imagine the fire in those eyes? That hair of his must have looked like the mane of a lion when he stood on top of Mount Sinai with the 10 Commandments. And yet he was a humble man. This Christmas time, let us be humble. You know, family are going to be getting together. It's a very emotional time. It's a time when we remember our loved ones. Some have already gone ahead of us. Some can't be with us. And it's a potential opportunity sometimes to really display the love of Christ through humility. You know, Jesus is such an example, isn't he? If you look at John chapter 8, verse 7, when they were going to stone that woman caught in adultery, what did Jesus do? Remember, he was writing in the sand. I'd really love to know what he was actually writing. And he looked up and he said that he who is without sin among you, let him throw a stone at her first. When they were all going to stone her to death, they all left. Every one of them dropped his stone and walked away because, of course, we are all sinners. Today, let's be humble in the sight of God. Jesus bless you and goodbye.